Alright, and I'm back. Got another matchup, this time Wake of Gods, taking on Bad Monkey Gaming in the round of 8. Odd introduction for me. I started recording this a while ago and then realized that I didn't recompat and the replay was all messed up, but it'll work now, yay! We actually will have more than just the drafting phase, which I have to re-record now, but whatever. And we are still working on weird setup, so hopefully things aren't too jarringly horrible for you. I'll turn my fan down right there, as there's a good chance that was going to be interfering with the microphone, and you would have heard a really nice loud whirring noise in the background, but that will be mitigated somewhat. And as usual, please let me know if my settings are difficult to listen to or annoying, or if they need to be changed in some manner. I am somewhat limited in what I can do. Right now I actually can't hear in-game sounds, and that's in order to make sure that you guys can hear them, but only through the actual computer and not through the laptop microphone, so I'm using a virtual audio cable to reroute the sound. Anyway, that's not important. What is important, we're halfway through the drafting phase here. Obviously BMG taking out basic team in the round of 16 to get here, and WoG on the Legion side picked up a forfeit victory in the round of 16, so both teams looking to progress a little bit further. BMG with some more notable history behind them, of course, as they've remade their roster a little bit. They're continuously looking for 5 people who will actually play. And if you're keeping up, you know that this team has in fact disbanded, and the new BMG tag is worn by Willowkeeper, as they were previously known, and now they've been picked up and sponsored, so congrats to them. And looking to do good things with that title. They're obviously going to Thailand, so should be some pretty nice stuff there for Bad Monkey Gaming as an organization. I always like to see that, and like to see more sponsored teams in HoN. But as far as this game goes, we got Magnus and Ravener getting banned out by Mott, so focusing Super KG a little bit there. Ravener and Tremble get taken out by Haxerin, so focusing the short lane carry options a little bit more than anything else. Kraken, Swiftblade, and Tempest will be the first 3 picks for the Legion side, so pretty focused on this team fight here. Obviously all 3 very strong team fight ultimates, as the lockdown and damage can be substantial from those cores. Hellbone going to go with Bubbles, Parasite, and Pebbles, so a lot more gank-oriented picks on this BMG team. Looking to snowball early, get a lot of pickoffs, and turn that into a quick victory. We'll see whose strategy is more effective. Legion side going to ban out Pharaoh, Puppet Master, and Drunken Master, so a little bit more on the initiation side, trying to stop the Hellborn, but I already have Bubbles and Pebbles, so a little bit odd that they would choose to remove heroes that really already fit those roles. Pharaoh and Drunken, I'm not sure if they would complement these Hellborn heroes as much. Puppet Master definitely would fit in this lineup, a little more late game potential, and add some more gank presence to fit with the theme of the existing BMG pick. So that ban I get, the other 2 maybe not so much. Madman and Rhapsody getting the first 2 bans on top of Keeper of the Forest for Haxerin, so he's trying to stop the push a little bit here, as Rhapsody and Keeper both obviously really strong push heroes. I'm not sure if Keeper works the greatest with their lanes, as they have Kraken and Swiftblade. I guess they could suicide the Keeper and then jungle the Tempest, which would be fine. So it's a solid ban there. Madman obviously in their suicide option, and Rhapsody the hard support, which is a role that has now been filled by Empath on the Legion side. So likely going to be seeing the Empath and Swiftblade lane, almost certainly in that short lane. Kraken hopefully mid, as I do prefer that over the suicide option. Likely looking for a long lane hero with the Tempest in the woods. Hellborn already have their 4 cores with the pickup of Dr. Repulsor, and that should be in Haxerin's hands in the short lane, likely looking for a suicide Bubbles and a mid Pebbles here. Parasite going to be occupying the woods, and Hellborn looking for hard support. Hopefully pair with that mid Pebbles, as he will die horribly to a Kraken if they go 1 versus 1. Pebbles, a very weak laner in general, and needs that early start, so likely looking at a dual lane here from Bad Monkey Gaming. Their lane is a little bit predictable, and it will be the Nymphora, so going to be Pebbles and Nymph laning together. They actually could be laning short as well. It's not surprising at all to see Dr. Repulsor head middle, so almost certainly be Bubbles in the long lane, but wouldn't be surprised to see Pebbles and Nymph in the short with Dr. Repulsor mid, or a flip of that situation. BMG's lane's still a little bit predictable, but you can see some chance for a surprise coming out from those heroes. And Legion going to pick up the Mage Bane as their last selection, and that is either going to be suicide or short lane. I don't know if they'd run the Empath and Mage Bane combination. That seems like a bit of a waste, considering how powerful Empath and Swiftblade are when lane together. So we could be looking at an aggressive dual lane here, either with Empath and Swiftblade or a suicide Mage Bane. Those are both options. A true suicide Swiftblade with the short lane duel with Empath and Mage Bane is obviously still an option. Just one that I would prefer they sort of don't do, because I think it's not quite as good as their other alternatives. Tempest obviously going to be in the woods, and Kraken is heading to the middle lane as he should be. So we'll see how this goes early on for each side. Super KGE is headed middle, and we've seen him 4 ahead of the top lane, and I really hope that's not going to be a consistent thing. She's sort of splitting the difference, so maybe she is in fact headed middle, but there's really no reason for Dr. Repulsor to need her help, and Pebbles in the middle lane absolutely will require it. So this is a laning mistake, in my opinion, if Pallet sticks in this top lane, especially because we are looking almost certainly at a true suicide, and my guess is they're doing this just in case they send the aggressive dual lane. They realize the possibility of that on the Legion side, and once they realize it is in fact a true suicide Twitblade, they will rotate the Nymph4 to the middle lane and assist the Pebbles, make sure that Super KGE gets off to a really good start. Super KGE, of course, a fantastic Pebbles player, has a lot of experience in that middle lane, as he's been a member of the competitive scene for a very long time, and at a very high level for a very long time. Known for his hook heroes a little bit too much, in my opinion, actually, because he is a very good Devourer player, he is a good Gauntlet player, he's even a good Prisoner player, but I do think he is superior on these heroes like Pebbles, like Magnus. His win rates on hook heroes aren't quite as good as you might expect, and good. Okay, Nymph4 already rotating over to this middle lane, and will be occupying it with Pebbles, making sure KGE gets off to a good start, and that's obviously, in my opinion, the correct decision, as I've made clear about 3 or 4 times now. Long lane, we're going to be seeing a Bubbles going up against an Empath and a Mage Bane, and actually this is a really great situation for HoN. Using the take cover will cancel the Essence Link, and the wall isn't very significant for a hero like Bubbles who has the Shell Surf, so Empath not the greatest zoning support against the suicide like Bubbles, and they definitely knew that that was coming, I think, on the Legion side, so why they chose to run the dual lane short lane with the Empath and Mage Bane is a little bit odd to me, especially because I feel like Mage Bane would have been just fine in the top lane as a suicide 1v1 against the Dr. Repulsor, so maybe they were concerned about the Nymph4 being up there, and actually middle lane Pallet is going to die, and Kraken not even going to fall. Let's go back and check that out. The advantage of having a replay gets charged back into the tower. They were really diving this Kraken, but the back end of the Zeal Stun did not hit, and Pallet actually going to drop to the tower. Super KGE backing off, realizing he's taking a lot of tower damage, can't finish off the Kraken, and Jarl not only getting bloodlust but getting away with it. Definitely a fantastic start for him, and pretty serious misplay here from Bad Monkey Gaming right off the bat. Not what you're looking to do, especially if you're KGE and you want to take an early advantage in this lane. Giving the bloodlust to Jarl on a Kraken, even if it forces him back to base, is definitely a big problem. He's going to have his bottle relatively quickly, even if KGE picks up this free farm, and he should be hitting levels no problem in the 2 versus 1 lane. It's also going to be really difficult to kill him because this combo is quite strong, but of course Kraken very tanky and has that charge away, so if he plays this somewhat defensively, he shouldn't be having too many issues when it comes to survivability. Pallet trying to get aggressive and force him out of lane, which is definitely his job. Make sure the lane is available for KGE to just free farm it, but last time he did that, got a little too aggressive, of course, so he has to be a little more careful than he was. Otherwise, feeding kills. The Kraken isn't very helpful in the whole, keeping him low, keeping him boxed out type of deal. And Kraken getting pushed up a little bit more. Both heroes here with full mana. Obviously, Pebbles does not have enough to combo. He's about 20 mana away. So perhaps waiting for that to happen before they go on him. And he's been taking some good damage to the bottom lane, actually. Bubbles throwing an aggressive Shell Surf right there. And you can see HoN doing very well. Middle lane, actually, once again, they're going to jump on top of the Kraken. Both sides of the Zeal Stun will hit as the Stalagmites were used. Chuck not used, though. Bottom, actually, Rainwalk gets the kill. Shell Surf is going to go through, I guess, on the Mage Bane, and that's nearly enough. One more auto attack will finish him off. Empath gets the wall out, and there's no tower aggro, though. It looks like HoN is a little too deep with the tower on him, and he will fall. Doesn't get the counter kill onto Beelzebub. So gets the 1, but obviously as a suicide, he will absolutely take that. Getting a kill in the opposing team's solo short laner, especially in a 2 versus 1 situation, that is pretty fantastic. So nice play from HoN coming out right there. He's already level 4. You compare that to a level 3 Mage Bane and now level 4 Empath as a result of her being there and getting the exclusive experience for the kill on Bubbles. But Bubbles is going to become a pretty serious issue for this Mage Bane in the bottom lane if this continues. And as I said, Bubbles just is definitely a good suicide hero, but in this matchup particularly, he's really not all that threatened. Mage Bane early on has almost no kill potential, certainly not like Switchblade, and Empath not a very good zoning support, particularly against Bubbles. Against other heroes, she is quite strong, but Bubbles one that can do a lot against that Empath. Top lane, meanwhile, we're looking at a Suicide Swiftblade up against a solo Dr. Repulsor. Haxorn absolutely manhandling this lane, 340 gold per minute for him, up against a 175 GPM Swiftblade, and they're tied for levels. That's not hugely surprising, as Swiftblade, of course, being a melee hero, gets a bit of an advantage in that arena. Middle lane, Kraken gonna get jumped on. There's a Chuck, and that'll be a kill. So Jarl with the double stun combination, very difficult to deal with, of course. Stalagmite's initiating, and then the Zeal stun following that up. The Zeal stun, a very difficult stun to hit in general, but if you have a setup, then it's quite easy, obviously. So a combo of Pebbles and Nymphora executed well, and this time Nymphora does not die, and Kraken does. So that's, I think, much more what they're going for on the side of Bad Monkey Gaming, and this time it works out substantially better. Anyway, going back to Haxorn for a moment in the top lane, not a huge surprise that he's doing quite well and should continue to do so. 335 GPM, which is below Super KGE on the overall charts, but still the two top farmers in the game as you look at the GPM charts. In fact, Own Me is right up there with Magebane. Decent Empath coming into the top lane, no ludicrous speed available from Dr. Repulsor, so he cannot ulti away. Spin comes out from Swiftblade, no stun taken though, and Dr. Repulsor perhaps looking to turn this around actually. Swiftblade spin does wear off, Magnetic Contraption goes down. Swiftblade's not going to die, but Dr. Repulsor should be falling right here. Essence Link is there, and Empath will pick up that kill. Opposite charges, going to force her into the woods, and actually she's trapped by creeps. Parasite going to throw the leech down, and she's trying to get away using the trees, but the creeps are still following her. Well, wall goes down, it's not going to matter. She will eventually fall, and Game is Grim on that Parasite, picking up the kill. So, unfortunate creep trap right there for Empath, otherwise it would have been a free kill on Haxorn and then getting away. But for some reason, Swiftblade not trying to take the creep aggro there, probably could have run up and at least gotten the creeps to stop blocking her off so much. Middle lane Kraken will get the charge off, so it took both stuns, but does not take enough damage to die and gets out of there no problem. BMG tying up the hero kill score at 3-3, or sorry, more accurately, WoG tying up the hero kill score at 3-3, and BMG were the ones that took the lead. And BMG still in a little bit of a farm advantage, but you look at the resources, there's missing kills all over the place. Top lane is Haxorn taking out Mots on that Swiftblade. It's going to be Parasite helping out, so Leech used right there. Lots of burst damage. Empath trying to help out that Suicide Swiftblade now. He's really doing nothing, and Magebane figuring like she can leave him bottom. They're going to go for this Empath. Facehug is there. Parasite going to get the Leech off and trying to get away. It's not going to survive, though, as Game is Grim dies to the tower, so it's a 2 for 1. And assuming they got the initial kill on Swiftblade and they had it free and clear, they could have just left. So that dive, not the greatest, because they ended up trading essentially a Parasite for an Empath, and WoG will definitely take that even if Swiftblade died, because Swiftblade essentially was dead no matter what. As he was what you call a sunk cost. Anyway, Bubble's going to go down and pick up a rune in the bottom lane. It is just the refreshment rune, so not that big a deal. Illusion will be bottled up by Nymphora and actually used. Presumably those illusions will be utilized to harass out this Kraken, who's going to be in a lot of trouble, gets chucked back and stunned. Charge goes through from the Nymphora illusion, actually, and they will pick up the kill on a pallet. So well played there. Position the illusion so that it gets charged with. And bottom lane, Bubble's going to be in a lot of trouble. Currently out of mana, gets hit by the Mana Void, and Magebane picks up a kill as it's Elgol on the Tempest, rotating over from the jungle. Currently Tempest sitting at 280 gold per minute compared to the Parasite at 240, so Tempest doing much better on the overall farm, and that's a little bit surprising, especially considering Game is Grim is a 2-1-1, Tempest at 0-0-1, so Elgol definitely farming very well, and Game is Grim not so much on that Parasite. 240 GPM isn't the worst, but you'd certainly expect him to be doing better than that, especially since his camps were not blocked at all, to my recollection. He does have a couple of stacks right here, so, sorry, just one. One camp is stacked, but twice. So perhaps looking for a Vulture Lord to try to take that down and boost his GPM up. If he can get that creep and use its tornado effectively, he can increase his GPM by a hell of a lot and do it very quickly. Middle lane, Swiftblade has rotated over. Beelzebub and Empath is hanging out here, and so is Tempest. Tempest Ultimate is available. There's a Word of Sight right there from Pallet, and we'll see if that spots anybody out. And we're going to see Swiftblade right there as he's going down the hill, and therefore won't be susceptible to the gank. So Swiftblade going to rotate back to the top lane as they're basically just letting Haxorn freeform, and that's not really what you want to do, especially in a Dr. Repulsor, because that hero can take off and do a lot in the early to mid game, especially. It's one thing to leave a hero that needs a lot to get going completely alone, but Haxorn is going to start making you pay, and he's going to do it very quickly if you let him get a substantial advantage, and he definitely has one. Highest farm in the game right now. The only hero that is particularly close to 400 GPM. I guess you consider KGE maybe that as well. But I'd like to see a little bit more movement from this Legion side. Trying to take out that Dr. Repulsor was good before he had access to ludicrous speed. That worked. They didn't probably do it enough, to be honest. And once again, Swiftblade could be in some trouble. Has access to the Swift Slashes, and he's going to have to use it right here if he wants to stay alive long enough for the supports to work. Yep, Dr. Repulsor actually currently out of man, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble as the TP reaction from Legion side was fantastic. So that's exactly what you want to do as they try to dive that. Swiftblade's a little bit too tanky. When you bring in the TP support, all of a sudden Haxorn is the one that gets picked off. That's perfect execution pretty much right there. From the WoG side, it's Kraken though, that's going to be in a lot of trouble as the combo is there from Pebbles and Nymphora. Successful kill. You can see Nymphora go on the Nymphora Zeal route, or sorry, the Gift of the God, no, Zeal's the stun, it's the, I forget, Grace that Nymph. There we go. I try to remember ability names before I actually go look at that. Anyway, Tempest's going to avoid the stun right there, as he was probably setting up for an ultimate, but won't be able to finish it off. The Limelights do come out, going to get the chuck back off onto the Empath. Not great communication right there, but Tempest only hitting one, not even killing him four, and all of a sudden here comes Doctor on that, or Haxorn on that Doctor, looking for at least one kill. Wall goes through. Tempest definitely going to fall right here, as Haxorn finds the last auto attack, and then for Empath will be able to get away. Apparently I can't remember what anything is anymore. But that's fine. You get what you pay for when it comes to casting. Anyway, the Legion side on WoG actually pretty substantially down right now in terms of golden experience. 4,500 gold and 3k experience down. And you're trying to look at where that's coming from, considering it's 8 to 6 hero kills, which isn't a huge gap. The CS is really the answer. 63 creep kills on Pebbles. Compare that to the Kraken at just 21. Long lane Bubbles has 39. Long lane Swiftblade 25. Short lane Haxorn is looking at 54, 55 for Magebane. So both teams short laners doing pretty well, but Haxorn getting a little more involved on the kill department. And both the middle and long lanes being essentially won by Bad Monkey Gaming. The jungle also doing a lot better now. Parasite up to 300 GPM, and Elgalon, the Tempest, has actually dropped a little bit in his overall farm thanks to that death in middle lane. So 3 of 4 lanes, quote unquote, being won by Bad Monkey Gaming, and the 4th one tied, and that's definitely a good way to build a resource advantage for you. And this is a team that can definitely take advantage of early game farm and an early advantage in a way by Pebbles in the middle lane, as he's got a Hasten active, so not in too much danger right there. It's M4 that's looking for the Magebane, and supported in here. Still going to completely whiff as Magebane blinks away. Hasted Pebbles going to run bottom and perhaps look to pick up a kill onto somebody. He does have a portal key available. I'm not sure if they already saw that. That was probably his jump in the middle lane, trying to get that pick off, and then won't be able to do so. So they're instead going to rotate bottom. Tempest obviously no ultimate available as he used it in the middle lane already, and he could be in some trouble. Yep, going to get jumped there by Pebbles, and Bubbles might need to be following this up. Shell Surf is successful, and Magebane going to try to block Pebbles out. Currently completely out of mana. Gets stunned though. Looking for a Mana Void. Nice 3-man Kelphill right there from Bubbles. Swiftblade going to spin right out of it, and we're going to see that nice counter here from the Hellborn team. Those that brought Haxorn and Gaming Scream in. Moth on the Swiftblade going to be the first one to fall. Essence Link going through, and she jumps inside of Kraken. Release Kraken jumped onto 2 heroes in the background. That's going to slow them down substantially. Pebbles does not have enough mana to follow this up. Grace the Nymph is available from Nymphora. Needs to use it on somebody, chooses to use it on Super KGE, but the entire Legion side has backed off in the meantime, so they will be sacking this tier 1 tower in the bottom lane. No more kills available though for Bad Monkey Gaming, and nice engagement right there as they pick up the Tempest. They get away scot-free. They in fact get a couple of ultimates out, and it's both the Kraken ultimate and the Essence, or the As-1 from Empath was used. And then a free tower out of it, of course, as well. So good initiation, good counter initiation, and good overall plan. They decided they wanted to take that tower, they wanted to take a fight, and they brought the appropriate resources. Without Haxorn and Parasite right there, that could have been a cleanup on the side of the Legion team, especially with just Bubbles, Pebbles, and Nymphora hanging around, and most of their cooldowns already used. Definitely would have been a little bit iffy trying to get out of that sticky situation on the BMG side, and instead they know what they're doing. Meanwhile, top lane, they're going to use the Nymphora port to try to jump on top of the Swiftblade. It's Haxorn that's going to start things off, then the stun from Pebbles and the Chuck, keeping him locked down, preventing him from being able to use that spin. There's another successful kill on Mots, and he's 0-3-2. Suicide Swiftblade not working out the way they intended it to. And I think that goes back to some questionable laning decisions. I just don't see what the point of the Empath in the bottom lane was. and it's possible she was necessary to prevent Bubbles from outright winning that lane, but at the same time, he kind of already did, and instead, now top lane was lost as well. If they dropped the Empath up top, they probably could have forced out Haxorn completely, or at least forced Pallet to rotate top, which would have allowed Mott's to win, or sorry, Jarl to win mid on that Kraken up against the Pebbles 1 versus 1, so definitely some better decisions probably could have been made by the WoG team when it comes to the laning decision. It's just a little baffling why they chose to do what they did. Almost meanwhile going to try for a counter kill in this bottom lane, but can't get it. Magebane going to burn all his mana, and they release the Kraken doing plenty as well. So Rainwa picks up the kill on Bubbles, moves to 2-1 and 0, 350 GPM. The only one on this team that's really farming well at all. Elgo and the Tempest dropping down to 240, as his farm in fact continues to slow. And the rest of the Legion side is below 200 gold per minute, not what you're looking for on that 4-core lineup with only the one support. Definitely a bit of an issue, especially considering the entire Hellborn team is above 200 gold per minute, including Pallet on that hard support Infora. And we have 4 heroes over 300 GPM. The GPM charts overall is definitely coming up in favor of BMG. And as we approach the 15-minute mark, I think WoG might be wanting to assess their position in this game and determine whether or not it is tenable. Bottom lane, Jarl on that Kraken will go down, so check it out. Jump from 3 heroes and 4 port used effectively once again, and obviously the Nymphora definitely showing her power in this game. Did a lot in middle after that Bloodlust to assist Super KGE. Super KGE's 460 GPM. Definitely not possible without the assistance of Nymphora. It's a pretty nice play from Pallet as well, but you also see him moving around the map a lot, especially with Haxorn on that Dr. Repulsor. They form a nice formidable gank combination, and Pebbles and Bubbles can certainly fly into that flag as well. Long range initiation, somewhat mana dependent, so the Grace of the Nymph helps out a lot, and some good setups for that Nymphora Zeal stun. And you can see the cohesiveness of the BMG lineup. It's not a particularly complicated strategy, and it's certainly one that I think better teams could pick apart very well by running together more often and not getting picked off solo, by warding more effectively defensively and counter warding a lot more, so the Hellborn team doesn't really know what they're jumping into if they try to use that M4 port. But WoG not really doing either of those things. You look at the counter ward situation for them, it's not substantial. Meanwhile, it looks like they might get a jump right here. Parasite going to get picked up by Swiftblade. That's slowed down by the Torrent from Kraken, and Pebbles wants no more part of this. It's a CS, but actually uses the portal key to pretty much just get away. And Super KGE won't be getting any kills, but he also won't be dying either, so that's good. Anyway, you see they're starting to counter ward a little bit, trying to make sure Nymphora does not have vision in their woods. And there is a ward of sight right there. That actually must be just out of range of this Ward of Revelation. Yeah, that's painful. That's, sorry, I thought there might have been action. Anyway, that's, obviously you can see the range on that Ward of Revelation and that Ward of Sight from Pallet perfectly placed. I don't know if he actually knows where that Ward of Rev is from the Legion side or if he just got extremely lucky, but definitely, that's perfect because the Legion side think that they don't have vision here, and they do. And they're going to see Empath rotating, and so if they want to make a move right here, you know, with Magebane picking off that creep camp, they can do so, and Empath can be like, what the shit, I have a counter ward there. So that's good. They're also all grouping up a little bit more, which of course is very helpful, and this counter ward here will be killed, as it was just placed right then. Hellborn team trying to take over the Legion jungle and starve them for resources. Definitely a good move, as this is a very late game oriented Legion team. Swiftblade and Magebane, the two of the hardest carries in the game. Dr. Repulsor right up there with them, but the Hellborn team has a solo carry as opposed to the dual carry on the Legion side. Of course, Tempest and Kraken with their team fight ability, very, very beneficial for taking late game team fights and for subsequently pushing after you win those team fights. And this Kraken looking for a jump onto Bubbles. Currently does not have a portal key though, so he's going to have to set this up with a charge. Would be in some trouble if Kraken can actually land this. The question is, can he? And we'll see. Actually, Beelzebub on the Empath getting picked up by Super KGE. Only is going to get charged in and spun on. The Kraken releases, and he is stunned the entire duration and ends up getting the kill. So 1-for-1 essentially there, going in favor of the Legion side as they pick off the opposing team's Suicide, who's at 310 gold per minute even after death for their hard support. Not bad, and WoG needs to make a lot more of those exchanges if they're going to come back in this game. The problem is not only are they getting picked off all over the place, they're also being resource controlled very effectively. You don't see any of the Hellborn heroes on their side of the jungle. They want to control the Legion Woods, and they're doing a very effective job of that, starving out this Magebane and Switchblade as much as they can. They're not really concerned about the fact that they're not farming their jungle effectively because they know they're getting the farm they need with these pickoffs. Jarl gonna run right into an M4. I'm not sure why they didn't see that Tempest ultimate. That's why they didn't see it. They're going for the counter initiation. That's going to connect on 3 heroes. Out the first one to die. Manavoid there as well. Gamous Grim does pick off Jarl on the Kraken, but he dies right after himself. Super KGEs is going to get picked off, and that's going to be a 3-for-1 in favor of the Legion side. So very nice bait right there. I don't know if they actually had vision of the wards, or if they knew exactly what the Hellborn team's vision was, or if they just figured they're going to keep trying to pick us off, so let's give them something to pick off. And they, in fact, do lose the Kraken. That was the initial target for the Hellborn team, but I think they'll definitely take that for 3 counter kills and some mind control as well. Or sorry, some mind games as well. You know, that's going to be a lot more difficult for the Hellborn team to confidently go in and get pickoffs, as we see Switchblade die in the top lane, still sub 200 GPM, so Mott's is not having the greatest of times. See if you can recover a little bit. Magebane is still not farming all that well either, and you look at Dr. Repulsor currently pushing 500 gold per minute, as he has had more or less free reign in this top lane to farm as much as he wants, and he said, I want a lot of farming. This Kraken perhaps underslowed down a little bit, but can get jumped actually, as here comes Bubbles with the portal key, and 4 TP coming in as well, and the silence out prevents the charge, so once again, Kraken getting slowed down, and he's at 1800 gold right now. He wants that portal key. It's a very late PK already, as we're at 230 GPM on him nearly 20 minutes into this game. Still no portal key. Meanwhile, it's going to be the poor man's portal key as Beelzebub on the impact gets chucked back in. Switchblade getting trapped in the trees a little bit, denying the tower from Magebane, but a 2-man Kelpfield will finish off Mott's. Magebane actually takes the stun, and then gets pulled back in by the opposite charge. There's 3 down on the Legion side, and with the Kraken picked off earlier, 4 dead. Tempest the only one still alive, no Tempest ultimate either. Obviously this would be a terrible time for it, as though he does have a portal key, there's going to be no follow-up if he goes for it. And the Hellborn team taking this opportunity to push in a tier 3 tower on the top lane with fortification will slow them down a little bit. But my suspicion is this is going to be a dead tower, as the entire team is here, including Parasite and Cannon. And we'll see if they choose to go for Rack. They're definitely looking for it. They're 25 seconds on Magebane and 10 on Switchblade. That's all of their damage essentially right now. Tempest looking for initiation, but again, a full minute on his Tempest ultimate. Kraken going to charge 1 back here, and that's going to be a pickoff onto Dr. Repulsor as he gets stunned out before he can ludicrous speed away. Manavoid on Empath, or sorry, Nymphora. That's going to help kill her, so double tap for Rainwaw. Meantime, though, they lose the melee barracks. Jarl is going to die as a result. Here comes Onmi, trying to port away. Actually, he's going to get stunned out and killed. The hat trick for Magebane. That's not what they want, and it's a quad kill, in fact, for Magebane. 1 more PK, or port away, and Super KGE will successfully evade the annihilation. They lose the top melee racks, but a very, very good engagement for that Magebane. Gets up to 400 GPM as a result of the 4 kills he just picked off, and a nice fight back, especially considering they really only had the 1 ultimate, and they used it on a solo Dr. Repulsor to grab that kill. Now for the next engagement, they're going to be a lot more prepared and a lot more well-geared, but they're going to have that top lane continuously pushing in. It's only 21 minutes into the game, and they have a solo support Empath who's not going to be able to stop the tide of those super creeps if they're continuously rushing the base by herself. She will have to have some help from other heroes at some point, or she's going to have to be very diligent about keeping that pushed up, and therefore going to be a lot less effective when it comes to warding and when it comes to participating in team fights and keeping her team on the board. And we saw earlier the Hellborn team clearly looking to take control of the Legion Woods. What better way to do that than by taking the top melee racks and forcing 1 or 2 heroes to constantly be keeping an eye on that? That's going to prevent the Legion side from being able to hold each other's hands while they farm in their woods. It's going to make them a lot more vulnerable to the continuous pickoffs from the Hellborn side. Speaking of those, hacks from the top lane looking for a jump on a Kraken. Hellfire is there, and that'll be a death on Jarl, as he cannot get off the charge thanks to the continuous lockdown from Dr. Repulsor and the ridiculous amount of magical damage that that hero puts out. Meanwhile, Kongwar being killed by 3 heroes on the Hellborn team. They don't even need 4. And it's not going to go down particularly fast with just these 3, but it will get killed. And as Pebbles is taking a little bit of damage, but dishing out some return Parasite. And Doctor are going to head over just to make sure this happens a little bit faster than it currently is. Well, that's not a bad decision, as you pop over and put the token on Dr. Repulsor anyway. He has 2 inventory slots, one of which should be occupied by a token, to be honest, but oh well. We'll forgive that for now. Or sorry, a teleport. We'll forgive that for now, especially if he has a token left. Hyper KGE gonna pop an Invis rune and head into the Legion Woods looking for a pickoff. Gonna run right by a Ward of Revelation though, so they know exactly what's going on the Legion side. They know exactly where Pebbles is and that he is invisible. They'll either cue to back off, and Pebbles looking for a pickoff somewhere, won't find it thanks to the nice D wards that are being placed everywhere by Empath. So I'm liking the game she's having. 3, 4, and 6, not the worst hero kill score, especially considering the amount of burst damage and initiation potential of the Hellborn side. You'd think they'd be continuously killing her. Pebbles just sitting right on top of a D ward, as they're all over the place. And Beelzebub realizing that he really needs to make sure that the Hellborn team can't see them, and actually the Ballista giving things away a little bit, as it is able to see Pebbles thanks to that Rev Ward. Bound Eye wearing off just in time for the Rev Ward to stay alive. And that'll be the second Tier 2 tower picked off in favor of BMG as well, as they're approaching a 1,500 gold lead and an 8k experience lead at just under 25 minutes into the game. Dr. Impulsor stealing Legion Ancients, and you can see the Legion side's jungle just continuously being controlled by the Hellborn team. This is exactly what you want to do. Economic advantage, and that's how you win games of HoN, folks. You have more gold than the other team, it's a lot easier to win games. You can do it with less gold, but I don't recommend it. And if you can prevent the Legion team from farming at all, it doesn't matter how slowly you farm, because you're still going to win. So the Hellborn not really maximizing resources in the sense that nobody is farming their wood, they're also not stacking it, but they're taking away the farm from the Legion team, and that's proving quite crucial in their continuously growing gold advantage. Packs are up to 550, and that's really where you don't want to see Dr. Repulsor. He is an absolute beast of a hero at even a decent amount of farm, 450 plus, he still does a lot. And once you start getting the 500, 600 GPM range, he becomes unbeatable. So the Token of Life, of course, and 2600 gold saved up, so not only does he have a respawn on one of the heroes that has the best token usage in the game, he also has a couple of buybacks available to him should they become necessary. He can at some point, and I assume he will, pick up a Shrunken Head. That wouldn't be surprising if that were his next item. He's got a Nullstone, which is defensive, and a Hellfire, which is a little bit offensive. And considering how much of his damage is magic-based as opposed to physical-based, you would expect he goes for a little bit more on the defensive side, and the Shrunken Head I think makes a lot of sense here. Up against the Tempest and the Empath and the Main Vein, there's some superior magic stuff and some lockdown still with a lot of magic damage you can prevent with the Shrunken Head, and a fair bit of stun potential as well. Especially considering he doesn't need a push book to get out of the Kraken ultimate as long as he doesn't get stunned by it. He can just ludicrous speed away. So having a Shrunken Head could be very valuable for him. Kraken going to charge him right back in there. They're going to have to deactivate the Nullstone somehow. The stun is there from Nymphora, and that's the token carrier anyway. Actually, Pebbles going to miss the stun. Tempest looking for the initiation. The Tempest going to come out just on Pebbles, but he gets cancelled immediately by the Law's Kelfield. And also plays already dead. There goes Jarl on the Kraken. Gets his Kraken onto a couple, and next Dr. Pulse is going to die. Uses the token, comes right back up as Tempest also falls. So not particularly effective use of the ultimates right here. They're not stacking in the way that they should be. So Slash has actually never even got off. And that's going to be a set of melee racks in the bottom lane to complement the one in the top that BMG have already picked up. And I'm kind of wondering what WoG's position in this game is going to be. They're already calling a vote to concede right here, and I can't blame them too much for that. Tempest coming back, getting a buyback. He's going to fall yet again. We're going to see another death on Magebane as he tries to get away. Actually gets the kill on Parasite first, but Empath trying to finish off Pebbles. That's not going to happen, and the CC goes through just before she dies, so that won't be counted against her at the final match score screen. But Bad Monkey Gaming taking a nice little 25-minute victory here against a team that they definitely should beat. So, winning games that you should win is often, I consider, the hallmark of a very good team. I mean, Sync does it all the time. They win games they should win, which are pretty much all of the games, but they also don't, in general, lose games that they shouldn't lose. I mean, we see that every so often, especially recently against a lot of these top-tier teams. You know, 2, 3, 4 teams are losing games to 6, 7, 8, 9 type ranked teams, and you can do that every so often, but if you start to make a habit of it, all of a sudden you're going to find yourself down in that 6, 7, 8 ranking yourself. So BMG definitely should be considered the favorite coming into this series, and well done to them taking this game very relatively easily, doing what they need to do, and with a well-executed strategy. Very coordinated. Middle lane was handled quite well by Nymphora and Pebbles. They laned it very well, and I think they took advantage of some mistakes by the Legion side. A little bit too greedy of a draft right here, and some odd lane setups, and if you do that against a team like BMG, they're showing that they can beat you. So if you can take advantage of the team's of your opposition's mistakes, so you are again going to win a lot of games. And BMG proving a lot of things about how to win HoN right now. Resource control. Take advantage of your opponent's mistakes, and don't lose games where you're favored. It's 3 good rules to live by. There are a lot more, but those are the ones I'm going to pull out of my ass on this day. Anyway, Game 2 coming up right after this, as this is all on VOD, so you can just go watch it yourself right now if you want to. But congrats to BMG taking a 1-0 advantage, and we'll see if WoG can come back in Game 2, force a Game 3, and or if BMG will be knocking them down to the losers bracket in a 2-0 sweep. So we'll see you guys in Game 2.